Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon and good morning, depending on where in the country you're joining us today. We're excited to have you with us this afternoon to talk and hear a little bit more about the Equifax transformation project. Today we have almost 500 people registered for the session, joining us from coast to coast. So thank you for your interest and for your participation. My name is Rob Durham. I'm the Vice President of Transformation and Operations at Equifax, and it's my responsibility to deliver this project successfully for the company and, more importantly, for all of our customers. Joining me today on the call is Ivan Barron. He's our Chief Data Officer, as well as Charlotte Durant, our Head of Consumer Solutions. You'll hear from each of us in a couple of minutes. But before we get to that, I'm just going to bring on Sandra Shep from our production team to talk to you a little bit about how to navigate and use the platform that we're using today, for those of you that may not have joined us for some of the past webinars. Sandra?
Super. Thank you, Rob, and good afternoon, everyone. You'll see our presenters today are on camera in the media player on the left side of your screen. And underneath that, you'll see our Q&A widget. Feel free to enter any questions you may have, and we'll address them throughout our session today. In the event there's too many questions to get through, we will endeavor to generate an FAQ document, which we'll send out to you in the next week or so. Our presentation today is available in the resource widget for downloading, also on the left side of your screen, and some frequently asked questions are also there. Our slide presentation will show in the middle of your screen. As well, our session is being recorded today, and you will receive the on-demand link via email tomorrow. Finally, we have a short survey we'd like you to fill out at the end of our session, if you could. It will automatically pop up at the end of the webinar. If you would prefer to complete the survey at a later time, you can access it by clicking on the survey icon at the bottom of your screen. Finally, if you feel like you need to send us a note, if you want some further information, we have a Contact Us button, which is to the right of the survey icon on the bottom of your screen. So let's get started. Rob, back to you.
Thanks, Sandra. So in today's session, we're going to talk a little bit about the transformation project at a sort of a high level, seeing on that about what's important to you. So I'll cover that in the first section. Ivan will join us, and he's going to talk to you a fair bit about the credit exchange rebuild and data migration. This is, of course, critical to the project because that is the rebuilding of the Commercial Credit Bureau and the loading it with all of the Equifax data. It's been done to an extraordinarily high degree of accuracy, and we're really happy to have Ivan here today to talk to you about that. The foundation of all the solutions that we provide is the data. So once we've talked a little bit about the data from Ivan, we're going to hear from Charlotte, and she's going to talk to you about the benefits that you will enjoy immediately from the time of migration, and then post-migration in the following couple of months, what it's going to look like as we move into the new business as usual and the type of innovation that we can deliver then. So really excited to be able to talk to you about these things today. So let's start, though, with a couple of quotes. I find them interesting because I find them somewhat reassuring. I mean, it basically says what we're doing, not only as Equifax, but you as our customers coming along for this journey, is we're on the right track. So in that first quote, what they're saying is customers that move into a cloud environment like what we're doing, using the data and analytics tools that we're doing, tend to have a 3 times faster return on investment. That doesn't mean just Equifax. That really means you participating in this with us, because through us and through the solutions that you acquire through us, you're availing yourself of all of that benefit of being on the cloud and of the advanced data and analytics methodologies and solutions we're able to bring. So we should all be looking for, as we come out of this, an even greater return on investment. I think the other thing that I find interesting is that, by 2024, 45% of the IT spend is going to be on solutions that are based on the cloud. So we're clearly moving in the right direction. We are moving where the future is, and together we're all going to enjoy the benefits of it. So let's talk about what some of those benefits will look like. First and foremost, you end up with greater stability, security, and reliability in this new environment. All things that you enjoy immediately at the time that your company migrates to our cloud solution. And that kind of is made possible through 4 different avenues. It is across applications, data, connectivity, and products that you get that stability, security, and reliability. So to give you an example of what I mean from and the fact that some of these products are already been moved to the cloud. So when you think about applications, our core fraud platform, Luminate, is already been moved into this cloud environment. And we've started to move customers on there. We already have a number of customers in that environment, and we will continue to move them there over the course of the coming weeks and months. IC SaaS, our decisioning platform, is already in the cloud, and all of our decisioning customers are benefiting from it. Later, you're going to hear from Ivan about the data that we're moving to the cloud. That's the building of the exchange. Charlotte will talk to you about the benefits that we're going to realize through products moving to the cloud. And then the 4th pillar of that is connectivity. And connectivity is about connecting to the cloud, but it's really about doing it securely. And you've heard us talk about on these webinars previously that that we are moving to new secure APIs to be able to make that to connect you to the cloud. For the vast majority of customers, there's nothing to do here. You're already on a secure environment, on a secure endpoint, and there's no need to make any changes. For about 250 or 300 customers, there are things that we'll need to change. We'll speak a little bit more about that later in the presentation, but you would have already been notified if you're one of those customers. And in the middle of February 16th to be exact, we'll be opening an endpoint portal where you'll be able to go acquire more information about it, test it in a UAT environment, and ultimately configure your endpoint and be able to promote it into production. We, of course, have resource materials available to support you with user guides, etc. And we have people standing by to be able to answer your questions and help you through that process. But that, is what enables us to get to that increased level of stability, security, and reliability. When we start talking about the data fabric, I think it evokes an interesting sort of imagery. And we use that because of that imagery, because what this allows us to do from an array of sources is weave one cohesive data tapestry. And that's an important thing because the more integrated your system, the easier it is to secure, the greater the capability to have it as always on. And then there are opportunities around innovation, whether that is linking across different data sources, creating new insights, or being faster to market. All of these things are advantages that we will be bringing to the market and making available to our customers as we go through this process. So where security is concerned, all data will be encrypted in transit and at rest. And we will have industry-leading security that exceeds what's available from an on-premise type capability. We're going to get into a lot more of that in our next webinar in about a month. And we will have our Chief Information Security Officer joining us for that discussion. And we'll talk, again, we'll spend some dedicated time on security, as that is a question that's come up on some of these webinars in the past. The advantage of always on is critical where data fabric is concerned. And we're excited to be able to bring that to you, and so that you will have an environment where, regardless of the time of day, regardless of where your customers are trying to access you, we will be always on and available. The information that we have within the data fabric is, one unified data source through advanced keying and linking, so that we can very easily link multiple data sets, not just our credit data, but our commercial credit data. We can take property data. We can take our income and employment data. All of that can be linked together to develop solutions for you. So we're really excited about where that's going and where that's headed. This last slide in my portion of the presentation really is a pictorial, illustration of that one interwoven tapestry that I referred to on the last slide. It goes everything from the data sourcing, those that are submitting data, to the way we receive it, to how we bring it into the data fabric, store it, purpose it, and prepare it then to be pushed out to our customers through platforms, products, a number of delivery mechanisms, and ultimately to all of you as the end users. This represents, as I think we covered in the previous presentation, the largest investment in Equifax history. It's a $1.5 billion investment that Equifax is making globally in this. And we're doing it because this is the secret sauce that's going to allow us to much more easily and quickly reduce time to market, respond to consumer needs, and adjust to regulatory and security changes. It makes us more nimble, it makes us better, and more importantly, it allows you to better serve your customers. So at this point, I'm going to take a pause for a minute and ask Dory if there's who's assisting with the production as well, if there's any questions from the audience.
No questions yet, Rob. You've explained everything just too clearly, I guess.
Okay. I'm sure we'll get to questions a little later, and we will intermittently stop through the presentation to take questions. So if you have questions as we proceed through, please submit them in the chat room. Dory will receive those and relay them to us, and we'll do our best to answer them on the call. But without further ado, I'm going to ask Ivan to take over and talk about our data migration and cloud environment. Ivan?
Rob, thank you. First of all, I'm just so happy to be here. When Rob talks about a journey, it's a pairing of our clients, our customers, all the consumers that we serve. And being able to speak to you today is a privilege for me. I just want to thank everybody for that, because in my 30 plus years of working at 3 global credit bureaus, having done a lot of fun and fascinating projects, not only with each of you, but around the world, this has got to be the crowning moment for me, from a person who has been dealing with data from his very first day of walking into the credit bureau, in order to walk through this journey. So I just wanted to pause there and just kind of talk about what Rob said about $1.5 billion. This for us is really going to the cloud with a bang. There's a lot of options from a data point of view, from the application point of view, from the IT point of view, as well as to how you migrate to the cloud. But for us, we took the opportunity in order to go into the cloud as an option that is not a shift and lift. It is an option that we are going to migrate our data, our biggest assets, all of them, and migrate them wholly, meaning that we are going to be using Google Cloud native code, native structures, native schemas, in order to leverage at the best that the cloud can provide us from a data point of view. Just going to go on to this slide. There have been so many of us who have not only worked in the credit data field, there have been so many of us who have worked through the past 30 years. Some of those time through Y2K, a lot of new things have come along after that point as a data warehouse. We then get into all of these applications that are built off of our core systems. We have went to the point right now where we have data lakes, clusters and clusters of data. That's where we have found that through this journey that we are not able to be, as Rob had pointed out, as nimble as we have wanted to be. And at the heart of this is making sure that we are going to be nimble. We are going to be able to make sure that our clients are able to get as much revenue to make the profits using our, not only the data that we have, but also of how the data has changed with the quality of the data, the way that we serve it up to you, how we are managing from end to end every single data point. So the cost savings that you are going to be able to see, and us being able to grow with you. So the everyday changes, we know as we have walked through COVID for the past year, how the data has changed even during that period of time. So when we're looking at this siloed view here, even as just us, this is our view here, siloed view, and we wanting to just go away from those silos, going away from the data quality tools that have been around for 20 plus years that we are still using. The cloud is able to provide us with a number of new tools that we have been so anxious to look at. Data, we have the same data in our data marts across the data lakes that we wanted to clean up. We have very special teams who are organized within the data group who just do that role. They take it from our core applications, from all the data that you are providing us right now, and we have to just cleanse it and standardize it for every different data lake that we have out there. So we want to make sure that as we have been growing, this concept of non-structured data, the big data that has been coming towards us, that's always been landing within our walls, that we're going to be able to migrate to the cloud with the big bang, with the 1.5 billion assets in order to do it properly. So our image right now in front of you is the way that we look. This here is our future. You'll see that center part as being basically just a cloud. And what we are seeing through that is that we're able to connect all of those different silos now. And when I talked about data lakes, we actually have a data ocean. It's all the data is flowing from one end to the next naturally. And we are not being held up by the structure, by any blockers that we have for the data now. So when we start at the point where all the contributors who are providing our data, the first point is around the data that we are getting in from our customers. All of those mortgages, all of those collections, all of the credit cards, everything like that is being filtering through us. We do our cleansing, standardization right up front, but cleansing now is part of this cycle that you see. Rob talked a little bit about keying and linking, how we have all of these different data sources that are out there, such as the property data, such as the fraud. We're going to be able to connect those to every consumer that we have. So then when you are accessing our data through the products and services, which Charlotte is going to talk about, you're going to have the opportunity to have that data in a form that you've never had it before. So we're going to have this connection for all of our data sources in order to provide you. Now think about keying and linking just for 1 second. We're going into the cloud. We're obviously using Google as our host. One of the things that Google has provided to all of us is a wonderful search and match. We all go into their tool, we search, we match, we find what we want. We have been able to actually leverage a lot of that within our own search and match. So for the credit bureau, for the consumer, for the commercial world, for all of those other pieces of data, we are naturally coding within Google. So that's where it's a lot different from lift and shift, where you're basically taking your same applications, your same code, your same data. We are really striving in order to be that #1 credit bureau, which we are right now, to even further that, to say that keying and linking and how we manage that within Google is going to be driving our search and match even better than what it is right now. And what that means to you is that you are going to be able to get more hits. What that means to you as well, less non-scorable files. That is a really big thing for everybody who is out there listening right now. We're going to be able to defrag. So when we have a consumer credit file, we want to make sure that we are bringing in all of the data points, that you don't have to make that call out to another credit bureau in order to have a costly call, of course, because it definitely does have a price to it when you're going out for a secondary call. We don't want that to happen. So on a hit, we're going to be providing you with all of the data right up front. There's this new concept called journaling, which I'm going to get into a little bit later, but journaling is how we have history of data. Let's face it, we have 30, 40 plus years worth of data that we have been managing throughout the years. We're bringing that all into the cloud. It's not siloed. It's all connected. We're going to be able to actually leverage it. So when it comes to something such as old trade lines that may have dropped off of the credit bureau because we have very specific purge rules around data, we can change those purge rules for our customers in order to drive their profit. So from a subprime auto point of view, perhaps having that older trade line on there, which was an auto trade line, perhaps, that was paid off, that's the type of data that you want to see. So we've been listening to you for all of these years now in order to say that we want more data. We don't want to have the defrags. We want to have that data in one source all of the time. We're capable of actually doing that now. And then, of course, when Charlotte's going to talk about the product layer, we're going to be serving up data in a much different way. So we're going to be able to have our verticals, whether it's auto, whether it's mortgage, whether it is collections. If there is a specific data view that you want for the products that we are going to be building, then you're going to be able to have that opportunity. Right now, we may order the credit bureau in a certain way. If you are getting it as a data feed, you may see header data coming up first, and maybe the next section you want something differently. So that's the type of capability that we are going to provide. Let me get into something that is very, very, it has a story to it. All of these numbers basically is what Rob was talking about, how we migrate data. How we migrate data is absolutely key in order to make sure that we're capturing all of the data pieces the way that they are now, with the theme being we don't want our customers to see any difference in the core data that they are receiving right at this very moment. Of course, we are going to be making it better, but we want to make sure that any products and services that you are leveraging right now is that you're going to be able to get the same score value that you are getting now with the reason code. So the underlying data, we've been painstakingly making sure that the underlying data is being moved properly so it doesn't affect any of your business at the moment. So when we see the 1.5 billion and counting, now imagine taking the entire consumer credit bureau and the commercial as well, and basically having to migrate it to the cloud. Different data storage, different schema. So throughout the years, this is literally years of work that it has taken us, thousands of pages worth of all this documentation in order to figure out all those bits and bytes and all those special things through 30, 40 plus years of managing data and how we process it. 1.5 billion pieces of the consumer data has been moved right now. The commercial data is following as we speak. The property data, as what Rob has mentioned, is moving right now as well. So we have a very good confidence level in how we migrate data from our old mainframes in order to go into the cloud. So much so that the next number, 99.997%, this is the match rate that we are getting between all of the data that we're housing in the mainframe to the data fabric. Meaning that when you see an open date on a mortgage, the open date is going to be the exact same. When you see any of the collection data, the public data, the names, residences, all of that stuff, we're making sure that we hit the highest targets that we can. The question obviously comes up, well, what about the 0.003 that is left over? Those, as we all know, after 30, 40 years, there is some, data formats that have not been coming in properly. And we're only talking just a handful, like hundreds of records out of these 1.5 billion that we had to clean up, such as we'll have a hyphen somewhere where we obviously are now standardizing it better. So those are the things why we have that 0.03%. When we take a look at the data, we have noticed throughout the years that we have been dropping data. So when we have the data providers give us the data, we have gone through every single data layout. And we have then picked out what is the data that is being dropped. Now, drop data is something such as in a Metro 2 format, for some of you who understand that. It's a data format that we get in order for our clients in order to provide us with their mortgages, credit lines, credit cards, and so forth. So within that data schema, we have noticed because of the mainframe throughout all of the years is a very fixed format, and the schema cannot be fixed. It cannot be changed. It is absolutely fixed. So we see all of these nuggets of data. These are just nuggets of data that have been there forever that we have not been able to put into our mainframe because of the lack of the capability. The data fabric, Google Cloud, migrating to that, we're going to be able to have millions of data pieces that are going to be there for the risk, for the data scientists within your groups, in order to take a look at, in order to drive your models, in order to drive those scores that can be better by data that has never been provided to you prior. So we're going to have that flexibility now in order to have all of our data that has been dropped on the floor in the past in order to be stored. I talked today a little bit about the Metro 2 data. We process about 140 million plus pieces of data every single month. And this is where we get all of the data from all of you who provide it to us. And we have basically been able to create another data preparation system native to the cloud, which is going to be even doing a much better job of not dropping data. So when we cleanse data through our old mainframe processes, we've been dropping data. It's perhaps an error within the city, the postal code. We've even put in places where we have never cleansed and standardized prior. So we've taken that opportunity to make sure that data quality permeates through the entire cycle. And the data quality isn't just at one point, it's at multiple points. Going to hit on some of these last few items here very, very quickly. We now have the capability to store as much data as we want. There are times where we had been only able to store a certain number of residences. So for those of you who are in the collection space, we obviously want to have as much data as you can in order to find, skip tracing through the life cycle of the collection. You want to know where that person is. We can store 5, 10, 20 now. It's going to give everybody the capability, even within fraud, those out-of-wallet questions that are so critical to make sure that you know you're a customer with the AML, with all of those different things that you have to do as a client. We have the data points now that are being built right now in order to make that part of it much simpler for you. The other item that I want to make sure that I do hit on here is, once again, K and L. It's a very key piece in order to organize our data and to provide the products and the services back to you. As I mentioned about Google, what a wonderful way in order to bring in Google in order to basically help us to formulate the new keying and linking. But we wanted to make sure as well that the data files that you're getting now through our mainframe are going to be the same as what you get now. But however, as I had mentioned on the previous slide, that we're going to be able to bring in more data, meaning that if there is an orphaned credit file, that we're going to be able to find it for you. If there is anything that is out there from a property data point of view, a product is now going to be able to tell you that as well. Say that 80% of our data that is out there is credit related. The other 20% may be property. It may be something else. It gives you that opportunity in order to look at data and to have the data at your fingertips, as opposed to just waiting for the data in a batch form or any other way to get those extra data sources. So you're going to have the capability to have data at your fingertips. And one other thing that I did want to mention here is that it's unlimited not only data resources, but the capabilities that we are having right now in order to provide the data and services to you. Not going to get much into the pipeline as to how data flows, because I want to get to the benefit slide. But this here is just basically how data fabric works. Data governance is now part of the data fabric from end to end. We all know that through many years, data governance has been touted as one of the best things that a company can do. And as a lot of companies have, they've only been able to put it in their data lakes or certain spots. Data governance is literally from the time a piece of data hits us through its life cycle. We can understand that piece of data from start to end. And we've never been able to do that in the way that we're doing it now. We used to do it with audits. We're still doing all of that. But the functionality of data governance throughout the entire life cycle of data is always there for us. And lastly, getting on to the benefit slide. I've captured just some of the highlights because I did talk about the overall general view of the profitability for our clients, reducing costs, to make sure that we are nimble, as what Rob had mentioned. Before, we were working basically with one hand behind our back. We were not able to be as nimble as we had wanted to. And it's not that we don't have the talent in order to be as quick to market, but we didn't have the architecture in the place. This is what the cloud is actually giving us right now. And when I talk about some of the benefits here about one schema, this is fascinating. Some of you do cross-border credit bureau pulls, cross-border products. This is where our data fabric is talking to Europe, to US, to the LATAM countries as well. They're all going through this change. This is a global change. It's not only Canada, it's absolutely everybody. This one schema means that if a product is built in the US, if it's a wonderful product that is using all of this new type of data sources or the same type of data that we have right now, we are not going to have to rebuild that here in Canada. So for any of you who are seeing a new trended product, because of the fact that we can journal trended data and a history, we can now take that schema, overlay it with our journal data, and the IT team is not now held back in order to say that they're going to have to give us a quote on how they're going to create this product in Canada. All that it is basically is taking that one application that has been built, it's used for the fabric for anywhere else across the globe in order to leverage it. And lastly, I'm just going to talk about all the machine learning and AI capabilities that the cloud does provide is embedded throughout the data life cycle right now. We're seeing the benefits from it, from not only models, scores, everything like that, but we're also seeing it in spots where we haven't been able to do it before, such as keying and linking, telling us hints, how we can make our hit rate even higher. What are the other pieces of data that we can trust as a source in order to add to the credit bureau data in order to find it? So that is an area where we are already touching upon right now. And for me, this is literally the tip of the iceberg of the benefits that we are seeing, not only for ourselves, but for all of you. I'm going to pause just for a moment if there are any questions.
There are a couple of questions. And actually, Ivan, what you were just talking about with AI ML is right in line with the first one. So the question is, how is Equifax going to make sure that the data used for AI ML algorithms is clean and organized to be able to accurately leverage the AI ML capabilities?
That is a wonderful question. And I can say, having dealing with AI and the ML, the important thing is to have the clean data. And because of the data quality measurements and the data quality tools that we are leveraging, we've been able to bump up our data quality standards to an extremely high standard. So it all starts with the quality. So what we are finding is the quality plus with the volume of the data that we have over 40 years that we are able to pump through is giving us that leverage. So it all starts with the quality. So there's a lot of data quality tools that I would love to share with this team in any way, shape, or form that can perhaps help you in your own shops. So it all starts with the data quality, with the volumes, and we've been making sure that the data quality is at the utmost in order to leverage those tools to their best.
Great, thank you, Ivan. Next question, Rob, this one's for you. Will any of the changes being made help with credit monitoring services from a business to consumer standpoint?
Thanks, Tori. Yeah, I absolutely think it will, because at the core of what makes our credit monitoring services useful is the quality of the data that lays behind it. It constitutes the credit file, and the ability to do search and match to be able to find your credit file. So that's a big deal when you're, signing up for the service, when you are registering and authenticating and subscribing to the service. The fact that we have better keying and linking means there's a better chance when I go in that I'm going to find Rob Durham and find the right Rob Durham and be able to get my set up the credit monitoring. Moreover, there'll be more data on my file, so there'll be more data to monitor and more things that we can trigger an alert on. So yes, I think this brings inherent benefits to our credit monitoring products as well.
Great, thank you, Rob. So I think that's all the questions that we want to hit on right now, because we're just keeping track of the time. So we should probably move on over to Charlotte.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for your time today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our products and what our products mean to our customers in terms of our transformation. So you heard Ivan talk fairly passionately about the data, the quality of the data, the volume of the data, and the new capabilities that this data will give us within the data fabric environment. So as you can see, it's foundational. This data is foundational for all of our products, and it's going to be how we shift from just being a data company, but a solution-driven company. And how do we enable those new capabilities, new data sets, and drive new product innovation? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to talk a little bit how we're transforming, what we're transforming, and what it means to our customers. So data. Again, it's foundational, and it is the key to being able to help our customers make better informed decisions. We do have solutions that exist today that we are assessing and transforming that span across the customer lifecycle. So from aggregated data that helps drive prospecting and profiling and segmentation strategies, we have that to support our marketing efforts, along with our identity and fraud solutions, which help you verify and authenticate a consumer who's coming in to do business with you, as well as the account acquisition, so our risk models and our propensity models to help make better adjudication decisions, as well as account management. So when we're offering triggers programs or attributes or alerts to help you manage your customer base better, as well as collections, so propensity models and scores and analytics. So again, our solutions span the full credit lifecycle. It's more than just a credit report. And so a lot of the process of what we're going through is trying to assess how do we enhance and improve all of these products that exist today so that we can also drive new innovation. So a major component of our business transformation was really assessing our full suite of solutions to understand where can we improve, what should we be sunsetting, and what should we be replacing. So again, it comes down to assessing on our consumer data set as well as our commercial database, understanding what's working, what's not performing the best to its capabilities, and so what should we be sunsetting. So as an example, that would be some of our scores. So we've got multiple scores that we offer to manage risk for our customers. Yet as we get more data, new data, we try and improve the version that we offer to the market. So again, we want to sunset those older versions that are maybe not as performing as well as they should be, so that we're only rebuilding and transforming our best-in-class solutions. So again, that's a big component of the process we went through. Another example is how do we optimize what we are transforming? So as we rebuild our products, how can we improve the quality of them? An example would be what Ivan spoke about, which is creating a purpose view. So if we've got a core credit report, but you don't necessarily need the full data set on that credit report, you can select what values or fields that are most relevant to your business and include just those in your report. It's what we call a purposed view, so you can define what's relevant to you. As an example, if you're doing mortgage lending or mortgage adjudication, you can include property information or property value information that's non-credit data, but adds tremendous insight to your risk strategies and your approval strategies. Another enhancement that we're looking to bring forward is our attributes catalog. Today, we have prepackaged attributes that you can access to help with your account management. Tomorrow, you're going to be able to select exactly what you want. You'll have much more flexibility, much more control over the assets that you want to look at to help with your decisions. Again, it's going to be delivered in the form that's preferable to you, whether that's a JSON format or the legacy format, but it's also going to be available to you through an API. So all our solutions and products will be accessible in the way you want to receive them and the way you want to ingest them. So a big benefit is this concept of rapid innovation. So, we will have the capability to have all of our data housed in a central repository, which allows us to be much quicker to design and deploy products. So less time it takes. Currently, it's months to get to market with a new product. Tomorrow, it should be weeks, days or weeks with our rapid innovation capabilities. The other key component is that these products will be configurable. So we're going to be essentially rebuilding them once, but allowing them to be configurable based on the customer need. So again, it's not one size fits all. It's very much configurable, and it's going to be across all of our suite of solutions. Another key strategy that we're introducing is sort of our data augmentation. So as Ivan spoke about all the great new benefits we're going to get with our data, we have a full data strategy that's going to help us continue to increase our coverage, add alternative data sets where it's beyond core credit, whether it's property or geographic data, income, wealth data, what have you. We're constantly looking to improve the data quality, as well as acquiring it across new industries. So where we may not get a ton of data today, we're exploring partnerships to access that data in future. Again, our policies and our governance of our data is critical to our success. So we have governance and quality improvement processes in place. Ivan spoke about some of those, but also the management and the governance of those data so that we're compliant with the regulators and making sure we're using it the way we can. Again, analytics capabilities is a big focus for us. So how do we deploy quickly, rapidly, best-in-class solutions? So again, Ivan spoke about keying and linking. Again, that's a huge asset to be able to do that, whether it's a customer's data set linked to our core credit data or a third-party data. We'll be able to do that very quickly. So again, helping businesses be much more nimble in terms of how they're making their business decisions. So in terms of value to the customer, it's all about getting to market quickly. It's all about adapting to new products and services so that you're current and you're getting the most relevant products available to help with your decisioning. Configurability is key so that it's flexible to use our products, much more so than today in our legacy environment. Again, that's a key advantage. Our data that is extremely comprehensive in terms of the quality and the volume of data that will drive better insights to help you, as well as the security and the always-on that we will have with the cloud technology. And then we have data and analytics consultants that can work with you to make sure that your business is succeeding and it's a seamless transition as you go through this transformation. So in terms of the roadmap, we've been in the process of rebuilding all of our products and testing them. And one of the things I want to call out, because it may come up as a question, which is, if we're rebuilding these products, what is the new environment going to do in terms of my workflows or, my downtime? And I just want to be very clear that we are rebuilding our products so that there is minimal downtime, so that there is no disruption to your workflows, and that the products will perform exactly as expected. So in the new environment, the output will be exactly the same. We are looking to enhance certain elements, but again, it will not impact your workflows. And so all that testing and end-to-end testing is going to be happening now until July, which is when we are going to start our customer migration. This is an iterative process. It's going across the full year for 2021 in terms of the roadmap. But again, our product readiness we need to ensure that our testing is complete. We've done end-to-end. We have our permits to operate. We have all of our approvals. We have all of our sales support, whether that's user guides, collateral, odds charts, delivery support. All those elements will be in place before we start our customer migrations, with the intent of not having any disruption to your workflows. So again, we look forward to working with you over the 2021 as we transform our business and support a seamless transition for you. And with that, I will pause here and ask if there's any questions. And if none, then I'll pass it back to Rob.
Yep, we've had a few questions come in, Charlotte, specifically around the products. So the first one is you speak about property data. Does this mean that we'll be able to link land title searches, PPR, and possible liens?
So we will, again, we have our data governance policies we need to adhere to, but we can add property attributes and information to our credit files or to our online or offline solutions. Again, the specifics I would need to go and make sure that, I'm not speaking out of turn here in terms of what data attributes we can include. But there's a lot of third-party data out there that we can include in terms of online batch runs and or online adjudication.
Hey, Charlotte, on that note, I think it's fair to say that the way data was available to us in the past, it was difficult to link to it and to have it available in real time. So our ability to make some of those data elements available in real time, there was a technical limitation. I think what this project does is it eliminates the technical limitation, and then it just becomes around what's permissible and making sure that we're operating properly within the rules of various regulators. So it becomes, when you remove that technical restriction, yes, it's possible. Now it's just a matter of, what is allowable.
And Rob, if I can add to that, you are 100% correct. As you know, the data strategy that has been put in place is to make sure that we get as much data as we can, including PPR, lien, all of those types of data points. It was so much the hesitation before as to what you have said, is the capability of bringing that data in, cleansing it, making sure that we're able to key and to link it in a meaningful, purposeful way. So now that moving to the cloud, all of those barriers that you had mentioned are absolutely gone. And the data strategy is moving us forward to get that data.
Great.
All right, thank you. Next question. Will the cloud-based migration eliminate the current concern of commercial and consumer secondary reports hiding behind a primary report?
So we will have access to both consumer and commercial data in this new environment. And Ivan, you can feel free to jump in terms of the technical aspects, but we will be able to combine those data sets. So this is great for our customers because traditionally we have not been able to do that and link that data, but we will be able to in the new environment. I don't know, Ivan, if you want to add anything additional.
Oh, for sure, Charlotte. As we had mentioned, the two mainframes that we have are different. So for the consumer world and the commercial world, they don't talk to each other. So what we've been able to do now, as we know, if I have a company under my name, I do operate it out of my residence, this is going to be the first time that we're going to be able to link the commercial data with all the consumer data as well. So principals, owners, anything that is linkable, we're going to be able to create those links. So first of all, there's going to be that linkage between the consumer and all of the commercial businesses that are owned by them. Secondly, on the commercial side, we are moving to the level of the keying and linking where we will not have the fragmentation as well as what perhaps some of you are seeing now. So we've been able to leverage a lot of the cloud capabilities, again, not just for the consumer world, but for the commercial world as well, in order to not only link the two worlds, but in order to make sure that any fragmentation, a company is operating under a different name, DBA is different, it's a company that is registered. We have those linkages now in place within the data fabric, and you're going to be, if I may say, quite shocked as to see how that world is absolutely going to change for you.
I would just add to that, there's an interesting link to the previous question about, what kind of data can we present together? So if in that scenario, in that use case, the applicant was a business, we could link them to by knowing who the principals are, to their consumer files. As everybody knows, doing that and pulling a consumer file requires consent. So in that case, you just have to make sure you got consent from that principal to be able to pull and link their consumer file to their commercial file. If it was being done vice versa and you're pulling their consumer file, and you would be interested to know if that person is also a small business owner of some description and what their business looks like, you could link that. And you don't need, as you know, consent to do the commercial. And that may give you insight as to how you would want to proceed with that application.
Great. All right, more questions. So this one is, recently I've seen creditors not updating the trade lines for months. Is there anything in your new system that will force this update each cycle?
Yeah, I don't know that we can force an update. Data contributors contribute, and we ask that they do that on a regular basis, meaning a monthly basis. So that's point number one. What it does do, though, is allow us to be able to more closely monitor the activity of our contributors and better identify those that may or may not be contributing regularly. And it turns a group of people that we have that, upload all of that, all of those contributors into credit files, it turns them from data entry people into more business analysts who are going to go and work backwards with those contributors to find out why they didn't contribute that month or what the barriers are. So I think my answer is indirectly, yes, it will help us to have better, more consistent, more frequent contributions.
Great. Would the cloud allow for instant correction of any trade lines or public records that require updating? Or would there still be a number of days before it would be visible and effective to the score?
Rob, do you mind if I take that one first?
Yep, go ahead, Doug.
Yes, one of the challenges for the credit bureaus is, in order to take anything outside of the regular monthly cycle data or anything like that. So there's a web portal that is typically used, or call into the call centers in order to make sure that data is changed in a timely manner. So any of the data that is coming through a portal or anything right now, it is challenged because of the fact that it is a mainframe. It has to be batched up. We have actually started off building within the data fabric a real-time data change, meaning that if a data change is coming through us, obviously the customers are putting it in. There is a person sitting in front of them. They want to get a loan at that point in time. They don't want them to leave. The data changes can happen in real time. So we are working on that portal in order to make sure that any data changes that need to be captured real time are actually going to happen.
Excellent. All right. Moving into a slightly different track. Oh, actually, wait, there's one more question about PPRs. Can you confirm if PPR data will be available? Going forward, I'm doing both a credit search through Equifax and a PPR search. Would I be able to then eliminate the PPR and have only one for that process?
Yeah, so that is something we are definitely looking into. So as I said, mentioned about the data strategy, how it fits in. And for everyone who had this question, would definitely like to delve into this further, because truly understand from the operational point of view, from the management of the data, that it is a challenge. So if we can possibly answer this straight to the person asking the question, I would definitely like to do that for sure, Dory, if that's possible.
Okay, we will make sure that the question gets right to you, Ivan. All right, this one is moving over to a different topic, but as you will be moving to off-site cloud-based services with Google, how will you be ensuring that the data stored there will be protected and ensure that it won't be shared with Google or sold to other clients?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And as I mentioned at the top, in our next webinar on February the 25th, we are going to dedicate that entire discussion to security and security around the cloud. And we will have our Chief Information Security Officer, Leslie Stevens, on that call, and so we can get into all of those things. What I can tell you in the interim, as a direct response, is clearly we are following all of the privacy regulations. All the contracts that we have with Google are cover and those sort of privacy considerations. There will be no selling of our data to any other provider. It is for the use of Equifax and its members, kind of full stop.
All right, I think that's all of the time we have for questions. Rob, if you wanted to do your wrap up and last information out for our customers.
Sure, thanks. So I hope you found this informative today, and I hope you take away a couple of things. One is, when we go to the cloud environment, initially at the first part of the migration, the advantages you will immediately avail yourself of are stability, security, and reliability. What that means is there's really not much action that you need to take. For the most part, for the vast number of our customers, all we're going to be doing is, on Friday, you were pointed at the legacy environment, and on Saturday morning, you're going to be pointed at the data fabric environment. It's really just a switch out of databases for you, and should be entirely transparent. As I mentioned, there are some where there are sunset products, some where there are connection points that are changing, and we're reaching out to you individually to make sure that we're in a position to support you through that. But for the most part, there's little disruption and zero anticipated downtime for our customers. Post that, you heard some of the exciting things that Ivan and Charlotte talked about as to the new services you'll be able to avail yourself of. So what do you need to do to get ready for migration? Make sure that you're using a secure endpoint. And as I said, almost everybody is. We're going to make a whole bunch of testing and validation data available to you. So read it. It'll make you comfortable. It'll assure you that you're on the right path and you've made the right choice. And then at migration, enjoy better performance, reliability, and security. That's all you need to do to get ready for migration. Lastly, I just direct you to some areas where there's some resource materials. You heard at the beginning, Sandra talked to you about some of the widgets we have where you can avail yourself of additional resource materials. But we have user guides, access to our support teams, and websites that you can use. And then lastly, I just wanted to, again, thank you for those that have attended the previous two webinars. If you weren't on those and you're interested, you can retrieve those. They're recorded and available for you. Thank you for attending today. Next one will be on February 25th. As I mentioned, it's on cloud security. And then following that, we're going to get into product validation results and then end-to-end testing and system performance results. Those are those, testing results that I referred to that you'll want to read ahead of migration, and because I know they're going to make you feel very comfortable about where we're going and what you're going to receive out of transformation. Thanks everybody for joining today. Really appreciate your time and attention. Know that you have busy calendars, and we're grateful that you made the time to spend with us today. Thanks. Have a great day.